Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Lost to Alice, Destined Lovers in Wonderland. We are along Owen Chester's route, and all of these forgotten or unfinished books have volunteered to give their time to help Wonderland continue to survive, which is wonderful. So, hopefully everything will go off without a hitch. Let's see. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. Here goes. The spirits gave off a bright glow and floated to me. Thank you. I reached my hands out to touch the sphere of light and take it. A warm feeling gathered into my hands, slowly seeping into me. This much time can make a world last forever. Go back now. This is no place for your kind. The character spirits reopened the dimensional door. So they were actually the ones who pulled me through? We traveled back through that door to the giant clock. Kronos' presence was expected. You're back? I'd figured you'd fled. It would be the same end either way. I'd take Alice's time. Oh, you don't need to anymore. I stepped boldly up to him. I think not. We found a way to avoid sacrificing anyone. I've obtained the time to keep Wonderland running. Huh? I presented the little clock in my hand. The light bestowed upon me had transformed into a clock at some point. It can't be. But it is! Kronos seemed to infer something from the moment he saw it. He looked at me, startled. The giant clock floated in the air and began to tick. So much time. With this much time, the world could stay alive forever. Kronos exclaimed excitedly, then waved his cane at the clock. Woohoo! It shone with light, and several clocks appeared around him. I never have to steal time away from anyone ever again. Oh, that must make him very happy. And everyone else too, of course. Let's celebrate! Party time! Kronos sighed deeply as he gazed up at the giant clock. Thank goodness. Indeed. The long hand of the giant clock began to spin wildly, sending off bright lights. The time stolen from the people of the real world was being released. It probably included the time stolen from Isaac. I leaned against Owen and watched the time get freed. Now there's no need for sacrifice. This is a miracle no one's ever achieved before. It'll rock the whole Wonderland. Iris, your hard work has made this miracle happen. We got our time back because you never stopped trying. When Owen addressed me softly, I shook my head. It wasn't just me. That's right, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere without you. Suddenly we're in a Salvador Dali painting. You've always been there with me. You were there to keep me steady when I broke down. The people of Wonderland have taught me that characters and stories are just like us. That's why my feelings never changed. I wanted to save them all. I had had many people supporting me, Owen being one of them. Owen chuckled softly. He whispered into my ear in dulcet tones. I love that about you, Iris. The lights of the giant clock quietly began to subside. All the time stolen from the people of the real world had been brought back to them. Iris, what do you want to do now? I'd like to get word out to everyone. Oh, you're too easy to please. I get the impression that everyone, including Sid and Luke, are worried. I expressed my wish. Good idea. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Owen gave me a soft smile and an encouraging nod. Don't you want to go back to the real world? He asked me curiously. I wasn't sure how to word my answer. Part of me wants to go home. I do miss Isaac. I then proceeded to tell him what's on my mind. Of course we are going to stay with Owen. 'Cause what would be the point of playing a story if we weren't going to? I decided to be honest. I want to stay with you, Owen. I never want to leave your side. And I never want to let you go. Owen took me in his arms. He gave me a kiss as if to make me understand his feelings. A giggle escaped me. And so, Wonderland regained time forever. With our job done, Owen and I decided to go check on Isaac. not noticing the premonition in front of us. What? Darn it! Something else is standing in our way! Preview. Why, hello there. I am the Duchess, the fairest beauty in all Wonderland. It seems that my dear friend Alice has been facing great difficulty. Sadly, the most I can do for her is be there to talk to. Oh, don't worry, that's still a pretty good thing, Duchess. But I, the Duchess, shall do all in my power to support my dear Alice.
I think not, Alice.
Suddenly, the one responsible for taking me to Wonderland appeared. It was the Spinner of Tales. His face was hid under his hood, covering the expression on his face.
I don't mind what you do, as long as you stay inside the tail. I personally think that Alice should belong to Wonderland, though.
So I can't check on Isaac?
If you were to leave Wonderland, if you forsake this world, that's a different story. Once Alice leaves this world, the tale of Wonderland ends there.
But what about all the time we just got?
And I will never let it happen.
There aren't many pages left to go. These last few pages are left blank. I wonder what this means. In order to return to the real world, Owen and I went to the strange place where I first woke up in Wonderland. I thought I was going to stay with Owen, or am I just going to go check on Isaac and come back?
And this mirror is the door to the real world.
The mirror was about human height, bigger than the last time I woke up there. I took a step toward the mirror.
I think not, Alice.
Suddenly, the one responsible for taking me to Wonderland appeared. It was the Spinner of Tales.
You!
His face was hid under his hood, covering the expression on his face.
I don't mind what you do, as long as you stay inside the tail. I personally think that Alice should belong in Wonderland, though. If you were to leave Wonderland, if you forsake this world, that's a different story. Once Alice leaves this world, the tale of Wonderland ends there.
Can't it just be told again with a different Alice?
And I will never let it happen.
After all, the tale existed before I got here, right? The Spinner of Tales clearly declared. You talk as though you're the only one with a say in this. When I snapped back at him, someone rested a hand on my shoulder. I looked up to find Owen smiling at me.
Spinner of Tales, I know that you love the tale called Wonderland in your own way. We're probably connected to the Spinner much the same way we're connected to Cronus. You aren't truly and thoroughly opposed to our wishes.
Owen stepped in front of me protectively and addressed the Spinner.
Spinner of Tales, the tale of Wonderland will never end. After all, Wonderland has gained eternal time. What are you talking about?
Oh, so he's uninformed. Let's tell him what for, then.
Hear me out. The people of Wonderland are no more than characters in a tale.
I think they meant they're now more than characters in a tale, not no more than characters in a tale. Or maybe they meant something else, but I'm pretty sure that sentence was incorrect.
They all have souls of their own, and they all love the tale called Wonderland. There's not a single one among us who would abandon the tale and go to sleep.
Owen looked quietly at the Spinner of Tales and continued speaking.
You should know that better than anyone, considering that you kept spinning the tale of Wonderland well past its intended lifespan.
Spinner of Tales? I spoke my mind as well. I love Wonderland as much as you do. I love all the people who live here. I do visit the real world, but I have no intention of leaving this world or Owen. Well, that should make everybody happy then. You have my word that I'll be back. I then looked at him straight. I promise you that the tale will never end as long as I live. So please, put yourself at ease.
Alice.
The Spinner of Tales spoke my name softly before letting out a sigh.
Perhaps the time to let Wonderland go has come. Or perhaps I've already let it go. If the tale can continue without me, this world no longer needs me.
The Spinner of Tales sounded sad. Well, you can write a new tale. At the same time, he looked somewhat happy at the idea that Wonderland would end. How can you tell? You can't see its face. There's just a shadow. Is that a happy-looking shadow to you? I could see that he loved this tale as much as we did.
Spinner of Tales, will you lend us your hand?
Owen asked him calmly.
We are tales that need you, the once forsaken and the forgotten tales. They gave Wonderland time, but their lives have not run out.
I thought back to what the character's spirits had told me. Each tale is assigned lifespan, and the lifespan of Wonderland had already run out. However, The ones at the Forgotten Tales had not even begun.
If someone was there to spin those tales, new life could be born. There are tales that need me.
The spinner murmured, as if thinking to himself. Well, I guess he could take a few tales and that wouldn't take too much time from Wonderland, right? Yes, and I would like to ask you for one more favor. Stop tricking Alice into coming here. You never told me a single thing about the rules of Wonderland, you know? In fact, this is literally the first time I've heard that Alice shouldn't go back to the real world. The spinner of tales nodded in assent.
That's true. The fact that this is the only tale that I've ever needed Alice. There are no other tales in which the main character never woke from her dream. I promise that I will do no such thing ever again, even if such tale arises. I'll invent a new protagonist of my own.
That makes me feel better. I want no more Alices to be spirited away from the real world. When I smiled, I almost made out a hint of a smile under the spinner's hood. I don't see it. I still just see blackness.
I made the right choice when I chose you to be Alice. You were the girl that can make Wonderland last forever. Thank you.
The spinner of tales dissipated in the thin air. He must have headed to where the Forgotten Tales were, in order to spin a new tale. Spin away, spinner, spin away. And there we're going to go ahead and end the video because I believe that should be enough materials. I think that was like 6 chapters, so I think we should be good for now. That ended on a good note, so I think the rest should be pretty much epilogue. We shall see. Hope to see some happy stuff in the next video, wrapping things up and all. Check on our friend who should be newly woken from his coma, and come back to Wonderland to straighten things out. So hope to see you there or in some of my other videos, and I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.